Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this evening as we look back on round two of the Rugby World Cup, and we'll also look forward to round three as well. And finally, yes, we've got that result I was wanting in round one that disappointed me about round one because basically round one for me ended up just being a repeat of back to the old days of the tier one teams winning, the tier two teams losing, unfortunately. But hey, we got that upset in round two, didn't we, Cornflake?
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was an exciting round. I mean, the whole competition has been exciting. None of that negative Nancy stuff. It's been exciting and enthralling, and it's good to see the small teams punching and lifting up to the tournament and showing up against the bigger nations and what they are capable of. So it's been an exciting, 10 days, 9 days of tournament so far? Been good.
Yeah, okay. Namibia turning up and punching above their weight. They scored 3 points, led in 71.
Portugal, definitely. Who are the others? Jeez, I
don't know. Other teams
all the small nations.
But Romania and Portugal are the two that are kind of like, thank you for turning up. But really, guys.
Portugal, come on. Portugal played incredible. Portugal, Uruguay, almost upset beating France.
Sorry. Namibia and Romania. Those two. Thank you for turning up.
I'd go Romania.
You're here just for the numbers. I mean, and Romania only here, let's be honest, because Spain was cheating and or was caught having wrong players on the pitch. But I don't think what's the union's fault, it's someone else's fault. But anyway, these kind of things happen, don't they?
But you break it down, though. I think a lot of cases with these tier one, tier two matches, scorelines aren't representing the actual match. You watch the full matchup, and these tier two nations aren't being represented by the scores too well. Mainly falling off at the end or just having a bad period and conceding 2-3 tries blows out the score. But a lot of them are fully on. I mean, even the Samoan game a couple of days ago against Chile, it was very close until about the 65th or 70th sort of minute until it blew out at the end. So everyone's representing well, and then they lose by 30 points. So it's full matches are the way to really get a representation of the tournament, I think.
Yep. Cieli Fatai, sorry if I've butchered your pronunciation of your name, which I probably have there. But he says, what else can you say? The Wallabies are on the brink of becoming a second-tier nation. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I think it's more that Fiji are on the brink of becoming a tier one nation. Let's give the guys the props they deserve in that one. But as LB says, yeah, he agrees about the falling off the last 10 or 20 minutes. And Simon Hughes has come along. Yeah, he thinks that tier two have performed better, excluding South Africa Romania game. Yes, I didn't even bother watching the highlights of that one. I'm sorry, but at 76-0, I'm not about to sort of put myself through that even for 5 minutes worth of highlights. Just what's the point? What is the point in that one?
See the king. That's what the point.
LB says, yeah, Wallabies are building for the next World Cup. Well, yes, okay. Maybe that's it. Do I get the up the wars? Yes, you can have an up the wars as well, Robbie. But come back on Wednesday night for the standoff show where we'll be talking. Oh, it'll all be about the wars. There was another game, but hey, who gives a toss about that one? Hey, so it'll all be about the wars on Wednesday night, I'm pretty sure. So come back on that one for that show Wednesday 8 p.m. But no, we're here for rugby union, rather rugby league. Let's go through what happened at the weekend, and we kicked ourselves off the weekend with France facing Uruguay there in that one. And as you say, yeah, Uruguay gave a good account of themselves, and they show why they qualified here ahead of the USA and are the second strongest America's team after Argentina. And show that they are stepping in the right direction. Look, we're talking about France here, second best team in the world, and Uruguay stuck with them until sort of late tries sort of pulled it away in the end there, Steve.
Yeah, it was a far cry from a full-strength French side, to be fair to them. But hey, it's still a squad, isn't it? 33 men, no matter who they put out in the field. So yeah, they played really, really well. I was impressed by Uruguay. They stuck in the game. They attacked really well. It's the thing. I think it's a common trend of a lot of these tier two sides, but they have got a lot, not all, but a lot of those core skills really at a good level. So a lot of them are ruck cleaning very, very well. They've generally got a good scrum or a good line out that they can generally rely on as well. But I just like the way that this Uruguayan side just attacked like fearlessly. They didn't give a crap who the other team was. They just played without fear. They weren't worried about messing things up. They played with freedom, and it was fun to watch. And they really stuck it right to the very end. And it's crazy that the All Blacks France game and this game against Uruguay had 1 point difference in it, which is just incredible. They were exciting to watch. Some great talents, a lot of young players as well. But I think the key guys stood up for them as well, which is really, really good when they have players that have been around that sort of place before. Like Arata, Freitas was really, really good as well in their back line. And of course, their forwards just did what they do well. The key jobs, cleaned rucks, got a quick ball, and put the French on the back foot. And it's refreshing to see, because that's areas that typically I've found of tier 1, tier 2 nations, that they struggle to get phase after phase, or they'll have neither set piece, scrum, or line out, but they could actually rely on, build their game on something and build up phases. And with that, confidence, attack, and fearless rugby, it was really exciting to watch, and to make a game out of it when everyone thought it was just going to be another 60-0 was really fun.
Yeah, look, Rucks won 64 out of 66 for Uruguay, 96%, whereas only 48 out of 53, 90% by France. So, as you say, did that work well? Look, their set piece. Look, they lost four out of their 9 scrums, lost 4 out of their 19 lineouts. I mean, 19 lineouts. How the hell do you get 19 lineouts in a game? I'll tell you how. By having 31 penalties between the two teams. Oh my God, that's nearly a penalty every 2 minutes. Look, if Uruguay could clean up their set piece, give away a few less penalties, they'd have won this game. Losing that much platform. 15 penalties by France, 16 by Uruguay. Boy, look, that needs to be cleaned up. That's not good. Not good at all. But at least we didn't get any red cards in this one.
Hey, the fact that it was even though, right, is kind of shows the way that the game went, like the penalty count. So it wasn't just dominant with one team getting all the penalties and camping down. And France had their chances to pull this game away a number of times. And Uruguay just kept fighting back. I had some guy in the chat that where was he from? The Netherlands, I think, during the live stream of the game that they were doing. And he actually described at the start of the match, he said, watch out with this Uruguayan team. They're pit bulls. He goes, and I was just like, okay, cool story, 10 minutes later, he goes, see, these teams are pit bulls. By the end of the match, you're still going on. It's like, yeah, I see your point. These guys are tenacious, and they've just got that fighting spirit of never giving up. And for a team like that, against the big hosts, they really did have that spirit in them, which was really exciting. And also the other thing too was tier 2 nations are really getting a lot of support globally around the world. Uruguay especially, but all over the place. Rugby's becoming, I think, a bit more global than even I expected in this day and age.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to, their next game against Italy. That's their Rugby World Cup final at the end of the day. If they win that one, then they should qualify automatically for the next Rugby World Cup, and Italy don't. So massive game this coming weekend between Italy and Uruguay. Not for who decides Rugby World Cup. Let's be honest, neither of these teams can even get out the pool. But that is their big game of the entire tournament. So and off the back of this performance. And the fact that Italy, they beat Namibia 52-8, but New Zealand beat Namibia 71-3. Whilst we might have been kind of like, oh look, this kind of tier 2 stomping Italy, no, this is a big. I think they're going to have a real good game. A real good game by Uruguay. Moving on then, All Blacks versus Namibia 71-3. Did we learn anything from this game? I don't really think so. Namibia missed 45 tackles. If you do that, then it's one-way traffic at the end of the day. 23 clean breaks by the All Blacks. Look, this wasn't. So, should we just move on now? Because was there anything to learn from this game?
On the Namibian side of things, in their match against Italy, they held their own for the early parts of their game. It took the Italians a wee while to get started and fully take control of that matchup. So, there's a little bit of positive to take for the Namibians. Against the big teams here, there's not going to be much joy and pride for them there at all. But on the All Black side of things, I learned a lot. I confirmed my thoughts that Roy Garda's 100% the second best scrum half, if not pushing for the best scrum half in that squad. Damien McKenzie, please put him on a plane right now. Get him out of that team, along with Caleb Clark, because they are liabilities in the side, as I've been saying for a long, long time. They're not up to the task. I mean, you're playing Namibia, and you're still clueless in your attacking form. Like, I just don't get McKenzie in a 10 jumper at all. At that sort of level, he should look like an absolute superstar. And he got some good patches because he's getting to a team that really isn't up to much more than NPC standard, right? So he struggled to thunder on. I would expect him to razzle and dazzle. Big forward pack going forward, all the ball in a palm, and yet he's still going sideways. He's still running backwards like he's playing sevens, and still just running out of clues, so he just thumps the ball up in the air. I don't want that, in a World Cup quarterfinal. That's the last thing I want to see against the Springboks or against Ireland or a team like that. So, for me, it just confirmed what I already thought about, the 9-10 and the outside backs, definitely.
Now, there are two things from this game. One is the red card for Ethan de Groot, and how long is he going to get banned for? That's a problem for the All Blacks there in the props. And you win a game 71-3, you lose the penalty count 12-7. What the? I'm sorry, but that's to be dominating a team like this, to lose that penalty count. We compare. I mean, the other game this weekend that was a blowout with South Africa, 74-6, Romania 0. That penalty count was 7 by South Africa, 18 by Romania. That's what you expect to see. You don't expect to see the winning team giving up more penalties. So areas of discipline is a big area of concern for this All Blacks team. And to me, that's the one area, the one thing I would take out of this game. Everything else is, you've got the points difference, but it's not going to come down to points difference as to who qualifies where out of the pool. So well done. Some nice stats of various players, but get that discipline sorted out. Otherwise, what players are going to be left that aren't banned come the quarterfinals?
I mean, I think player-wise, we learned a few more things too about the player likes of Havili. I thought he had a pretty solid matchup for a guy that we've not seen, since his comeback from injury. I think it was pretty solid as well, from an All Blacks perspective. I think we saw just maybe how good Rico Ioane is, and that little passage where he came on in the end, and he looked actually like considerably better than anyone else on that paddock, which was cool to see, but kind of concerning as well that he comes on and has such an impact with pace and power for a guy that I think we take a bit for granted in that midfield. He looked just so much better than anyone else in that paddock. So a few things to take from the game. Yeah, the card was a bit of a concern, but jeez, I mean, you don't even get started on the refereeing and cards and stuff like that. It will be here for about a 12-hour show. Just watching highlights of what should and shouldn't be a card. Well,
that's the most disappointing about this tournament is the discourse on Twitter and Facebook of just like, look at this, this was called, this wasn't called, wasn't. Oh, for God's sake, guys, just enjoy the rugby because, if you're not enjoying the game if you do that. A job done by New Zealand.
Yep.
If we look at the pool so far, going pretty much, I kind of think, as I say, as we kind of expect, France are going to top the pool because they won that game, that opening game. New Zealand are cruising through, but the big, arguably actually the biggest game of this pool, Italy Uruguay, is coming up next weekend. Because I think it's bigger in some ways than France New Zealand because it didn't matter. The result there didn't alter the fact that both of them were going to get out of the pool anyway. 1 and 2 doesn't make much difference. You've got some tough teams. You're going to have tough teams from Pool B. It's Pool B. In either way. So that game didn't really matter. Italy, Uruguay, that decides who qualifies the next Rugby World Cup. That's massive. I'm giving Uruguay a much. I'm suddenly got much higher up on Uruguay because they'll have that decent game against against France. I thought Italy would win it relatively comfortably, but we'll have to see this. But I think I'm changing my expectations from what I had pre Rugby World Cup. Moving on then to the next. Actually, no, we'll go pool by pool, shall we? That makes a much better sense than doing them in the order. Ireland versus Tonga. As you told me pre-show, Ireland just laid over the ball, but 59-16, they kind of controlled this one from the start. I don't think Tonga ever. Obviously they got the early penalties, but it was already 31-13 sorry, by half time. So yeah, Ireland showing why they are the number one team in the world, and comfortably coming through their pool. Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've still got big games to come, don't they? They've still got to play Scotland. They've still got to play South Africa. So there's a lot to still go for Ireland in this World Cup. Yet they're not really cruising right through by any stretch of the imagination. I think the Scots are really heavy up for that one.
But so far, 2 games, 2 bonus point wins. Oh. They haven't lost Johnny Sexton to injury yet. So far, every ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, and you also got to remember too, they played their first strength team pretty much against Romania. They played their first strength team against Tonga. They've got to play them against South Africa. They've got to play them against Scotland. So why are you taking 33 men? You clearly only need 23. I find that bizarre. Why would you? I understand Sexton. Okay, he was out and suspended for a while. Bring him in, get him up to speed. But a lot of those players, James Lowe's been playing all through. Ringrose been playing all through. Yeah, Mac Hansen, Keenan's been playing all through. With all that forward pack, Omani's played every game. A lot of guys have played every game. They swapped their hookers around. But aside from that, not too much. You're going pretty much all out. But yeah, in this game against Tonga, I thought Tonga was a bit disappointing, a shade disappointing. I had a bit higher hopes. If anyone did shine out with a bit of a light for Tonga, I think there would be William Havili, their fly half. I thought he was very impressive. Kicked very, very well, had a decent game. And Big Ben Tameifuna, what a monster of a man he is. He had a very, very impressive matchup for the Tongans, which was cool to see as well. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed. This game kind of, I have the same sort of thoughts about with the Welsh-Fijian game from the previous weekend. A lot of hate went on Wales about how they conducted that, and how they got away with this and that and sort of thing, which is fair enough. But these are professional rugby players, right? And they're doing everything they can to win a game. And I compared this to they're going to probably places and doing things they don't really want to do in the fairness of the game, but they're out to win a rugby game. And they're putting pressure on a referee to make a decision and saying, I'm going to do this. I know it's illegal, but if you're not going to pull me up for it, I'm going to do it again. And if it gets my team an advantage, I'm just going to keep doing it. And I think the first half of this game for Ireland was very similar. Like you said, they were all over the rucks. Wrong side. They weren't rolling away. They were slowing down the Tongan ball, something incredible, which in the second half made a drastic change. And they'll get away with it, which can you blame Ireland? In a way, but I for me, it's a referee. The responsibility is there. Say, don't do it. You're going to do it again. You're gone. Okay. Then it cleans it up. And got to credit the players. They've pushed the envelope. They've got away with it. Advantage. They blew out to a good lead. Game over. Tonga couldn't find a way back. Was too steep for them. And yeah, like I said, Ireland cruised their way to a win. But yeah, a bit of a shame. But yeah, it just shows that Ireland really is a class above. The Tongans, a little bit to work on. Quite a bit to work on, I think, going into that. Showed pretty much what we saw from them in the Pacific Nations series as well. Just not quite up to that scratch. A lot of individual players trying to do things. A Piatel, fantastic, but it was often Piatel, and then he lose the ball because his forwards were all trudging back on the other side of the field. Just little things like that. Just didn't have that continuity, that connection. Wasn't quite there for them, like we saw, previous to the World Cup.
Yeah, look, and LB says, look, Sexton barely played, man. The guy just caught and passed for most of the minutes. He got
that's what Sexton does all the time.
So yeah, that's Sexton all the time. Yeah, he had one run, 17 meters, and you know what? He scored a try with that one. So there you go. But yeah, that's his job. He passes and kicks. That's and try avoiding getting hit because you'll get broken. I think that's pretty much the game plan.
Like I said, I can understand him playing because he missed a lot of that build-up, right? So that makes sense. A touch risky, especially against Tonga, who can really hit hard. But yeah, he's got out there. He's got 2 matches warmed up. He's fit. He's healthy. They've got no big injury concerns that I've noticed. So, yeah, why not? They're cruising.
Yep.
But they got big games to come, right? Big games.
Oh yeah, the easy bit of the tournament's done for them now.
Yes.
Next weekend, South Africa, Ireland, that is a big one, and then they get 2 weeks off before they play Scotland, and then into the to the quarters. Essentially, the other game in this pool, South Africa, Romania, 76-0.
Yep.
Well done, South Africa. Did what you needed to do.
Hey, South Africa here, 4 scrum halves, right? Doesn't matter where the ruck goes down. Bang. There was one on each side of the field, just about. Faf played 10. Well, big South African news. Andre Pollard's back in the squad. Oh, what a surprise! I'm shocked. He's back. Malcolm Marx, as we thought, a front row would go down. Pollard would come on to replace him. South Africa now have 1 full-time hooker and 2 part-time hookers. See how that goes when it comes to quarterfinals, eh?
Yep. We'll have to see how they go. I mean, this is France back in 2009 tried to fly two scrum halves and play left and right, and sort of played their kind of 9 and 10 as and to try and speed things up. Hasn't really caught on, and I can't see it catching on outside of playing a tier two team, and I can't see them doing this in the quarterfinals, for example, or against Ireland.
They were in roles, right? They were in roles. Like Reinach was the 9. Grant Williams was on the wing, although he did hover around the breakdowns an awful lot, which I found quite funny. Like, where's 14 going? What's he doing so close? He's just standing behind Reinach. He's like, you want to go out, mate? I'll take this one. And then Faf obviously come on at 10. So he spent a bit of time there and did look quite good. So, yeah, they're building things, they're trying things, they're developing things. I mean, when you've got a player like Grant Williams who's so rapid, it's like he fits in on the wing. Unlike your boys, which we'll get to later.
Hey, they scored 4 tries.
We'll get to there, Paul. Just on. We'll get to there. Goodness gracious.
Look, I've even donned the jersey because I thought, hey, it's safe at last.
You should be embarrassed.
Oh dear.
Last week you would have got away with that because they were impressive, but this week, oh.
Anyway, looking at the pool then, look, the top 2 cruising. South Africa obviously got that big win over Scotland, and then they face each other this coming weekend. Romania, struggling at the bottom as we expected, and I think this is how they're going to finish. Just the only question is, will Ireland or South Africa be top 1 or 2?
Hey, the fun fact about this pool: Scotland's the only team in the World Cup not to score a try.
Wow, there you go. Even England scored a try.
They played 2 games, though. They played 2 games.
True. They did. They have done. That's very true. Anyway, so that's Pool B. Moving on to Pool C then. First up, we've got Wales versus Portugal, where Wales did what they needed to do to get to win 28-8. Portugal picking up a red card, but look, that was after 77 minutes. That was at the end of the game, who didn't really impact this one. But yeah, Wales nilling Portugal in that first half. Portugal were getting a bit unlucky because they had that crossing try disallowed. But for all the kind of negativity and worry, I guess, for what would Wales be able to do in this this competition, they'll be extremely happy with where they sit currently. 2 wins, 2 bonus points after what was a very fraught entry into this tournament, and also managed to rotate quite a few players as well. So I think Wales will be happy with where they're at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be happy with where they are. I don't think they have too much reason to be overly ecstatic with how they played against Portugal, which I'd credit to the Portuguese players who, again, much like we saw from Uruguay and much like we've seen from Chile as well, have a exciting, fearless, attacking brand of rugby. I especially got up to watch this game just to watch Portugal because of all the things we've heard about them in the build-up, how much they play, attacking rugby. The fans love the way they throw the ball around and they play an exciting brand. And I was like, well, I want to see this exciting brand. And I'll tell you what, they didn't disappoint. They have a very, very talented bunch of players. And, I mean, their outside backs, Rodrigo Marta, Vincent Pinto, and coming off the bench, Storty. I knew about him before. I was surprised they started him on the bench. But their outside backs, and Guedes, their fullback, they're electric, man. They are fast and they are hot steppers. And a lot of them have the Sevens background. So they're coming into this with that sort of knowledge of how to break a line, obviously with more space, but they know how to elude one-on-one players. So they've got that experience. They were fun, man. They were fun. Their forward stood up. It was a big, big match from their hooker, Mike Tajel. I thought he played really, really well too. Pretty much played the whole game. So, yeah, I think they've got a bit about them. They're exciting. You just hope they progress, right? It's like they get to this point and it's like they get on the stage and you see them and it's like, this is cool. These guys are even like they pretty much like right at the very end, Wales scored that bonus point try. If this was a 78-minute game, Wales didn't get a bonus point try. Wales, when they got into the 22 and they got 5-10 meters out, they always looked like scoring. Using the forwards was the one area that Portugal just couldn't quite defend well enough. They didn't have that power game to back up defensively. And, when they're on halfway and they lose 2-3 meters per phase, that's all right. Because Wales generally look to kick or they'll stuff something up. But close to the line, when they went to that forward play, Portugal did struggle to contain that. So work on for them there. I think they could have saved probably conceding a number of points from that sort of situation. But yeah, hey, to push Wales right to the end, Faletau scored that in the 83rd minute. So, if they managed to just take that one stop at the end, they could have denied Wales that bonus point, which would have been huge. Now, what we've seen today in the overall scheme of this pool, because bonus points differential, all that sort of stuff is going to be huge. If Fiji come out and they play Portugal and they smoke them by 60 points, who knows what's going to happen. That's going to tell a massive difference because points differential, I think, could well play a part.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's 85% tackling. They had to make 156. Or they tried to make 183, made 156 tackles. They got a big workload, but they weren't. With the other one we think, was it from memory, was it 45 missed tackles, whatever in that other game? We're only talking 27 missed tackles here, 85% tackling. So they stood up that foot the whole game. Sure, I mean, 3 of the tries were from forwards, as you say, which is where Wales managed to eventually batter their way through. But it did take them, as you say, right the way until then. Look, I mean, Wales, 19 turnovers. I'm sorry, if you're playing a team like this, if you're coughing up the ball that much, you'll be happy you've got the points on the board, say where you come from. But yeah, they're not going to. If they make it to the quarterfinals, they're not going to go much further with these kind of performances. But from where they were coming into this tournament, I still think they'll be. Look, this is they're heading in the right kind of direction for them. It is kind of progressing. Next up, Wales have got Australia, so it is the big one this coming weekend. And as you say, after we talk about the next game, we'll see how important that one is going to be. Fiji now, moving on to them, they played their 2 big games. They've played Wales and come up a game that a lot of people think they could or should have won with a bit of different refereeing. And now they took on Australia, where the big problem for them in Wales is they let Wales get into a lead and then couldn't chase it down. Whereas in this one, they got outscored 2-1 on the tries, but still at half time they were leading 8-12 purely off penalties. They were keep the scoreboard ticking over. I mean, this isn't how Fiji are supposed to play, is it? I mean, scoring in threes. I mean, this is it's a very sort of a pragmatic approach to add to their flair, and it's did them fantastic.
You've got an ace goal kicker, which I didn't know they had in Kuravoli. Not only a fantastic player running the ball, but you see him lining up. It's like, Kuravoli's on the tee. Okay, we'll see how this goes. And then smokes 4 kicks, and you're like, okay, let's keep going with this. Fiji must be feeling like they're the most hard done by team in World Rugby right now. They just can't catch a break. They just seem to be battling against more than their opposition in every aspect of the game. They maybe got one or two calls go their way in this one, but boy, oh boy, the Wallabies got some gifts. That try to Nwangani Tawazi, there's about 3 reasons why it shouldn't have been a try, which I'm sure is going to spam the chat in about 3 seconds' time. Played the ball on the ground, the Australian player, Arnold, in the ruck. That's how they got the turnover, the Australians. So he played the ball on the ground, flicked it back, they kicked it, went to a 50-22. They threw the ball in, not 5 meters, and then threw a forward pass from Karevi to Nwangani Tawazi. That one was a bit marginal. Maybe the 5 meters was a bit marginal as well. But the hand on the ground, there was 2 players, literally, the ruck was open. It wasn't like a big buried body pile. It was like no one there. And it's just like, how all this TMO crap they go on about and all the TV's watching it. And it's something so blatant like that, they just completely miss out on it. It was staggering. But still, they didn't give up, the Fijians. They've got no give up. They got that try for Tuisova straight after half time, which was a bit fortuitous. But the Australians let a lot of ball bounce from kicks, which, we all know is a bad idea to do when you just let it go anywhere. So he played the ball. Come on. He played the ball. He was trying to play it back over his head, smacked it the other way. That was clearly playing the ball. Clearly playing the ball. That was just a first of many offences. Rory is Richie or Rory? Richie Arnold's in the team now. Is an absolute grub. How he didn't get a red card in that game bewilders belief. Absolute crazy, man. Offside, number of occasions, high shots all over the park. The Wallabies, yep, deservedly lost that game. I think everyone's a bit Fijian today, except for people that live in the criminal part of the world over there in Australia.
Arnold gave up 4 penalties in this game as part of the 18 that the Australians gave up. They gave up 18 and didn't pick up a yellow card. How can you give up 18 penalties and not have a yellow for repeat infringement? When you that's so there we go. Look, Fiji didn't help themselves a little bit in this one. Discipline was fantastic. Seven penalties. One of the best. That's one of the best discipline performances we've seen in this tournament. But their set piece, losing 6 lineouts, losing four scrums, they kind of didn't help themselves there with that side of things. Look, I'm just the fact that they won this one in 3s as an Englishman just warms the heart to see them doing that. Look, and as you say, their one try wasn't from a piece of flair; it was from someone totally misjudging a high kick, and all the Aussies suddenly finding it bouncing behind them. How 4 of them ran in front of the ball and overran it? It's just nuts. Well done to Fiji. By game management, they won this one rather than lots of flair and sevens play, which is brilliant to see that they've brought that into their game. We thought, let's be honest, that with the loss of their 10, that we wouldn't to injury pre-tournament. We were like, are we going to miss out on that game management? But no, they've shown that they've got it, which is great to see, and which puts them into a decent situation here, ahead of Australia currently. But both of them are on 6 points. All the top teams got 2 bonus points so far, because of tri bonus points. And it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out. Obviously, Georgia, Portugal, who cares at the end of the day? This weekend is the other game. It's not going to have any bearing on anything. That game, Georgia could upset Georgia beat Fiji. Wasn't it for that way around? I think it's in 2011, which caused a problem for Fiji. I think it was. And that was how Georgia got themselves automatic qualification. So look, they could upset a Fiji or a Wales, so they've still got to play.
They beat Wales 2 years ago. So
yeah, I know they could be the kingmakers, but they're not going to be kings themselves. So it doesn't really matter what they do against Portugal. They can get the win, but they're not going to get enough wins to get themselves out of this pool. but they could upset, or they could dent the chances of either Fiji or Wales. They've already lost to Australia, so they can't do that, obviously. So yeah,
I think it's for Georgia too. Not for that Georgia-Portugal game. This is a big game for Portugal because I think they've shown a little bit about what they can do when they played Wales, right? So everyone's a bit like, okay, Portugal looks a bit all right. Can they keep that up? Can we do it again? Could they possibly win that game that they could win against Georgia? For Georgia, though, yeah, they are the kingmakers, aren't they? Bonus points. You don't pick up a bonus point against Georgia, you're in trouble. You obviously don't win, you're in a real world of trouble. But this is box seat Wales. And for mine, it's box seat Fiji as well, because Australia still have to obviously play one of the top two teams in Wales in the pool. So Fiji just need to focus on getting the wins over the teams they should be beating anyway. So yeah, that's his concentration for them, is in that professionalism and making sure they don't go and celebrate too early before their job is done. Make sure, like they say, like the old cliches are, controlling what they can control. They can beat Georgia, they can beat Portugal, get a bonus point, take 10 points from those two games, put yourself up there on 16 points, and make Australia have to beat Wales pretty much, because that's pretty much, provided they do what they should do, going to sign and seal the deal. If the Wallabies do win, though, then yeah, the cats, monks, and pigeons, big time there for all three of those sides. Who's going to go through a bit of a lottery, which will be interesting. But yeah, Fiji though, it's good to see them actually winning possession, winning scrums, winning ruck battles, winning the forward collisions. The stuff that we typically don't see so much from Fiji. You see all the backline stuff, but Botia and Mata at the back were sublime, and their front row's performing well. So they look really, really good. It's just, I kind of feel like they probably wanted Portugal first. They kind of feel like they needed that just to settle themselves in, maybe. Might have made a difference. Settle into the game, settle into the areas, the country, the conditions, and then go bang, bang. But hey, it's what it is. It's an exciting pool, and it makes every game remaining exciting for different reasons. Obviously, the top four for who's going to go out, but for Portugal, they've got a point to prove for themselves.
Yep, you say the two easiest, or the two easier games are Georgia and Portugal coming next, but Fiji currently on a +1 points difference will want to rack that up. Actually, it's points, but so the deciders are the winner of the match between two tied teams. But obviously, if three teams are tied, oops, that's a problem. In which case, it's the best points difference at that point between the higher ranked teams. Now, the fact that Fiji, after playing those two, are +1, you've got to say that you'd expect either. Well, you're expecting whatever the winning margin is this weekend between Wales and Australia. Should mean that whoever loses that game is going to be in a world of pain, because that winning margin is probably going to be more than 1 point or whatever it is, and it'll be enough to make them the weakest out of the three teams in that three-way kind of matchup stuff, which is just mathematicians' nightmare, or mathematicians love it, and I'm just not in. I'm just too hungover to cope with all that. So, we should just take a brief interlude. Yep, sorry, go on.
Before you go off Pool C, for the Wallabies, no Skelton against Wales and no Tupou. They're both gone. So they've confirmed to be out for that Wales game this weekend. So that's massive for them. A leader, and I think probably one of your best prop, right? I mean, Angus Bell right up there, but Tupou, certainly that's your best two props, and they lost them. So I think that could be a bit of a tale for them as well as that game wears on. They've got to go to Nolgor and Scoop, who played against the Fijians this morning. And I think that could be somewhere where they could lose out a bit.
It could be, but this isn't a very good Wales team either. So we'll have to wait and see. It's kind of who's going to be the least worst team. Thank you, Simon, for correcting me. The game I was thinking about was Georgia-Tonga back in 2015, not Georgia-Fiji. So thank you for correcting me on that one. My excuse is this weekend past, I made my club rugby debut. I have not played rugby since I was 16, and played and turned out for Waihi in their Golden Ollies team. 3 15-minute games, which was full contact, but there's except if you're me, in which case you become a turnstile and anyone who just wave people fast, or you just put your hands on them trying to grab their jersey. But no, I did get tackled once where I couldn't get rid of the ball quickly enough, as I tried to make some sort of semi line break down the wing, why I was doing out there at my slow pace, I've got no idea. But there you go. I did get the ball back inside somebody else, but so I didn't lose the ball or get taken out with the ball. But hey, but yes, we did start with a drink. Now, Tapuna, thank you so much for having us. Great Rugby Club, and even had beers in the sheds for us pre-game. I do question though why we needed low carb beers pre-game. This is where we're supposed to be carb loading. We need the energy, and you give us low carb beers. That's probably explains my performances on the pitch. And then we went drinking through several bars on the way back from the from there as well. And so hence hungover today, and hence my maths trying to figure out how that all would work. I'm sorry, but yeah, not up to that. But very happy to make my club rugby debut. Have you ever played club rugby, Steve?
Not proper club rugby, no. Just school.
I'm not sure I call Golden Oldies proper rugby, but LB pre-game beers, absolutely pre-game beers, half-time beers, and post-game beers, or between game beers as well, because we had 3 50-minute games, and yeah, the beers and waters were brought on at half-time.
It's like when you play cricket, don't you? You have the chili bins on the boundary, and everyone takes turns at fielding down at third man, so they can have a drink and take it with them back to the slips. I know that one well.
Brilliant. Oh, you're a more cricketer person, are you? Okay.
Back in those days, yes.
Back in those days. All right, then. So you go. So that explains my some of my sort of standard of comments this evening, probably. So let's move on then to Pool D, where we had Samoa taking on Chile. In that one, 43-10. It was 19-10 at halftime. So it's one of those ones where basically Chile sort of faded in this one. 3 yellow cards in the space of sort of 10 minutes in the second half as well. So both teams down on players towards the end of the game. But so yes, one where, and this I guess this comes back to one of your comments we were talking about earlier, that some of the weaker teams standing up for like 40 odd minutes and then just running out of steam. And well done to Samoa for keeping it up, keeping up that pressure on Chile. And also in great, and this is actually 2 of the teams that had the fewest penalties given away this weekend were both Pacific Island teams. We just, 7 with Fiji, 9 now with Samoa, 17 to Chile. Oh, bloody hell! No wonder Samoa had 17 lineouts. But yeah, great play, well done by Samoa, and again another one of, didn't they win this one with basically rolling maul, basically driving mauls was how they kind of got over the line, I think, from memory, with Samoa. So again, not the Pacific Island flair we're expecting, but roll up the sleeves and go to work against. So I mean, we characterize South American teams like Uruguay's, like Argentina. We put Chile in that kind of bracket as being sort of more forward scrum orientated, and yet Samoa took them on up front and did the job.
She's not so much these days. They're all quite exciting in the backs. This game, I think, went pretty similar to when they played Japan. Fiery out of the gates, exciting, took chances, played pretty freely, just like the other Uruguayan side and Portugal as well. But yeah, they fell off the pace. Good first half, but quite professional from Samoa. Like I say, the penalties, Leilefano notching over 4 shots at goal, getting them off to a good little lead. But it was a bit of a battle for that first half, which was nice to see, and then blowing it out at the end. But it's good to see, with Samoa, you see the names, and you look at the try scorers, you look at the point scorers, and you go, there's some quality about those players. Duncan Paiawa, a former Australian, played a lot of Super Rugby. Taumatini's obviously been in Super Rugby for a long time. Fritz Lee in New Zealand has spent decades, it seems like, over in the Northern Hemisphere, ripping things up in France. And Sopawanga, Leilefano, all those guys. It's like real depth in that squad now as well. And they're getting better and better as they go on. I think this is a good test for them, a good start to their campaign. And showing what they can do. A little bit of flair with that Paiawa try, getting it nice out wide. for him to finish in the corner. But yeah, a little bit of show of the forwards as well, which are very, very strong in that area. So I think this is a side that could potentially trouble sides more than I think Tonga will in their pool. But they on their day, that they've got the quality, right? And when you look through the team and you see them with that quality of character and player and skill, they just need to gel. And we all know, get some points on the board. Okay, you've got a good goal kicker. Take your points, take a lead, get your confidence, get that crowd involved. And we all know those French crowds love a bit of Pacific Island rugby. They get in it. They love the Fijians, and they are very vocal in their support. This is a team that also could cause some trouble in their pool as well. So good build up, good start. And maybe they've got what the Fijians didn't with that game that they can work into and now get a bit more comfortable with their surroundings, a bit more comfortable with their conditions and build on from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the and as an England fan, I'm very happy we've got 2 wins under the belt before we take on Samoa. Otherwise, I'd be very worried. Let's be honest now. I'm not so worried about what the result of that one is. Look, all their players now playing in good setups. You got a number of these guys in the Moana Pacifica setup, who basically know each other pretty well as well. So they actually you've got combinations as well as proper sort of fit professional players, which is a good thing here for Samoa. Chile clearly don't have that same level of athlete. And don't have so many players in full-time professional outfits. Great start for Samoa. I did wonder if they would be a bit rusty because they kind of had a bigger break and were waiting a week before getting their first game in. As you say, in that first half, patient, doing a Fiji, knocking over penalties, going up in threes. It's again another very English performance. Fantastic, loving it. Historically, that is, not recent times. It's a great start for Samoa. Then the second game, England versus Japan. Yes, England scored tries, but boy oh boy, how? I mean, the first try was Japan screwing up a line out on their own 5-meter lines, which gave it away. The second one was Joe Marler heading the ball forwards, and then everyone stopping, apart from Courtney Laws, who then just literally walked over and put it down. Sorry, what did I say?
Yeah, no, you got it right. Yes.
Did I say? Yeah, Courtney Laws. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I look and England needed those sort of things to get themselves going, because then they did score a proper try over in the corner with a cross-field kick, not it's like, well, hey, the first two were, let's be honest, extremely lucky, and England needed that to get them going. So yes, all is not rosy for England from a performance point of view, but from a results point of view, it's it's an amazing place to be in, considering how scared I was coming into this tournament. 66% possession, 61% territory, dominating game by England. Surely is how you saw it then, Steve.
I see a Japanese side that promised so much and then delivered so many stupid errors. They couldn't catch a high ball. They couldn't go more than a few phases without making a mistake. They got dragged into the kicking battle because the crowd was booing when England kicked the ball in open play. They were literally booing them kicking the ball away. That's how much they were throwing and just going into kicking battles. It was absolutely incredible. But, I mean, Japan were wasteful. You could talk up your England all you like, but Japan looked exciting. They lost Masarewa really early, got pretty much first phase. He went down with a leg sort of injury, which is a bit of a shame. But Lemeki come on, and I thought he was very solid at fullback for Japan. High ball was an issue, but in terms of running it back when he did have the chances, good. They cut up England a number of times. So many times they broke through and just couldn't break through England's second sort of line, they defended very well in a two-phase. They didn't just have a fullback. They sort of had a two-line defensive effort, which probably indicated why they were a bit weaker on their front line. But their second line of defense always sort of covered very, very nicely. I presume the wingers coming back and kind of cutting off angles. They did that very, very well. They forced Japan into corners when they did make those breaks, and Japanese support just wasn't quite there. They forced the issue on a few things, just silly little things that had you ripping out what tiny little bit of hair that you've got left on your head. So it was a bit frustrating from a Japanese point of view, but promising in the fact that they actually, if they could hold on to the ball, they could actually do some damage to some teams. And I mean, the fact of the matter is that they were in this game, considering they only kicked, a number of penalties. And it took, you don't count those first two tries because they were pretty much silly errors or fortuitous luck, right? So that could happen at any time for any team. So it's not like they got outplayed for those first two tries. And in the end, it did sort of fall apart. So unfortunate for Japan. Not the Japan of 2019, like I saw someone comment in there, but still the talent is there. Players like Matsushima, so good, running, just breaking the line, so deceptive in his pace and his agile play. Very, very good. Matsuda played well at 10. Their nines are good as well. A solid back row with Leach and Himino back from injury. So the pieces are there. It's just not quite clicking. They're just clashing against each other, and it's just, someone makes a silly error. Fakatava, that guy is incredible. And this is what I mean about your wings for England. World Rugby thinks that Amato Fakatava is a centre. So World Rugby completely lost their marbles straight away. He is a second rower, and he actually ran down the English winger. Pace. So when you've got your second rower, and you've got your winger making a break, and you see your number 4 doing the big chase, you're like, well, this is not going to go well for us at all. And he brings him down. Incredible. I just don't see England. Daly on the wing just bewilders me completely. Just completely bewilders me. He kicks. He gets the ball out there and then he'll thump it down. It's like, what is the game plan here, England? Worked very well against Argentina, but you went into half and took points, okay, and accumulated. Obviously, they were a bit more scared about that threat. Against Japan, they'll get into the half, get a penalty, and kick to the corner. And then it'll all break down and fall apart, or they get a lucky break. So crazy team. Crazy team. I just don't understand the selections. And then I don't understand at the end of the game when they interview Borthwick and he goes, oh, how fantastic they were. And the boys have worked so hard for this result. And it's like, mate, did you watch that game? You headbutted a try. You got a lucky bounce of a botched line-out, which is most of Japan's line-outs. And you have wingers that can't outpace a second rower. I mean, man, I'd be worried. If I was that coach, I'd be like, I need to make some selection changes here because things just aren't working in that back line. And George Ford gets man of the match. I don't know how. Courtney Law's fantastic. I mean, that back row is brilliant, okay? I'll give them some credit. Laws, Earl, and Ludlam are fantastic, and that is what's holding that England team together. Their ability around the breakdown, around the field, breaking tackles, getting over the advantage line, they are brilliant. Superb, outstanding. One of the best combination in the World Cup that I've seen. But the rest of the team, I have concerns. I really do.
Look, this is an England team that's quite. Look, they beat Argentina 27-10. They just beaten Japan 34-12. In this game, there were 79 kicks from hand. Huge. 79. That's one a minute. It's nuts. Most of the other games are around the sort of 30 mark ish. This was 79, just twice as many kicks as pretty much any other game this weekend. England's game plan is pretty clear: defend, don't let them score anything, and kick the leather off it and hope we get opportunities to score some points. That's England's game plan, and the defense has worked. They've only given up 22 points in 2 games, 1 try I think it is in 2 games. So defensively, whilst you can say they gave up 5 line breaks in this game, but they didn't lead to tries. This dual line Kevin Sinfield defense is working somehow. And then you've got players like Elliot Daly, who has got a very long kick on him. So you've got Freddie Stewart, who's very solid under that high ball. More than happy to get involved in kicking duel.
Both teams were terrible under the high ball in that first half. They were both atrocious. A lot found grass. A lot was just bouncing around. It was messy. And a description of that first half was just incredibly messy. If you sum it up in a nutshell, they're as bad as each other. No one was better than each other. But yeah, even a guy that, Freddie Stewart's quite reliable under that high ball, right? I was surprised to even see him completely missing them. Second half cleaned up massively. Both sides improved incredibly. But boy, that first half was poor. Hard watch, really hard watch.
So, and yeah, look, I mean, Japan got within a point after just before the hour mark, but then 3 tries, including the forward header, finish things off. And again, just like Wales, scoring after time was up to get that bonus point. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got the bonus point here. So England, I say, coming into this tournament, I was concerned as to whether we get out of the pool. 2 wins against 2 of the kind of stronger teams. We've got Chile coming up. Win that Chile game. Hey presto, you're in the quarterfinals. Well done, England. From that point of view, job done. Because boy, this is not a Rugby World Cup winning team. This is a team that was kind of like, oh my god, are we going to get out of the pool? And quite a few people were kind of going, England are going to be disappointed. England are going to not get out of this pool. They've got the results. They are going to get out of the pool now. So they will be. So this is going to be an overachieve by England, just to make, and overachieve to me, remember, is to get to the quarterfinals and lose in the quarterfinals. That's or at least par performance at that point. England. I can understand why Borthwick's saying it was a fantastic game, because from his point of view, he's got the points on the board. Japan are, at the moment, it looks like Samoa being the most likely to come through the pool with them. But this coming weekend, Argentina versus Samoa will be an absolute cracker of a game, and will go some way as to see where we're at. Hookton writes, the absurdity of the draw is that England could make the semis. Yes, where they lose, England could come third in this Rugby World Cup. Right, they could win that. They can win the bronze medal playoff game, and all they would have to beat is Wales or Australia or kind of Fiji in a quarterfinal, and then and hey presto, you're in that third, fourth playoff, and who knows what's going to happen there. But yeah, so massive game this weekend for both Samoa and Argentina. England, you've got Chile, get that win, and hey presto. They can all sort of breathe, have 2 weeks off before they play Samoa, relax, chill, and go. Whew, we've made it out. Well done, boys. I know that's not very high expectations for England, but that's kind of where they were at. Let's be honest, coming into this.
Until they win that game, then they look at the quarterfinal draw and they see, oh, Fiji! Oh, crap! Now we're in trouble. And those Twickenham memories can't start flooding back, and all sorts of things will happen.
Oh, look. As I say, but losing in the quarterfinals is okay. That's a par performance.
Fiji could make top 4. Fiji could be in the third, fourth playoff. That's something more positive. That's what we need to believe. Before we move on to this pool.
Well, imagine Fiji Samoa as being the third, fourth playoff.
Yep, 100%. I'm there.
That's at the moment, that's doable, right? If both of them could come out of the pool, unfortunately, they might meet each other in the quarterfinals, which would screw things up. But also, I mean, two Pacific Island teams making the quarterfinals would be a fantastic result.
I think Argentina finally on this pool. I think that the draw has kind of done them a little bit dirty, right? Shocking performance first up, and now they've had to sit on it for 2 weeks. That must be a camp, man. That must be some, imagine the feeling in that. Imagine the emotion in that camp. Imagine sitting guys like Pablo Matera sitting there, Creevy sitting there, Montoya, their captain, sitting there, sitting on that disgusting display against England, which, to be fair, was absolutely diabolical. Japan would have beaten them on that day. The Chile would have been in for a good run that day if the Argentina plays like that again. So they've had to sit on that. I really want to see Argentina this weekend, because I think they could either be utterly brilliant and there'll be a massive backlash because that team will be out there being, written off by people now after that performance of their capabilities of getting out of this pool, or are they going to go sulk?
Well, look, I mean, but for Samoa, this has been a great start for them, right? They got the points on the board. They'll be full of confidence coming into a game, the big game. So they'll have confidence going into it. So I think, yeah, great opportunity for Samoa. As you say, real bad one for Argentina. Japan, hell, their easy games are done, and they're in trouble. Let's be blunt here. Will they even get to? If they don't get third place, they don't automatically qualify for the next Rugby World Cup. I can definitely see them slipping down to fourth. Some questions in the live chat. Is there a game on Thursday? Yes, that's the Italy-Uruguay game. As I say, massively important game. 3:45 a.m. in the morning on the Thursday.
Great time.
That's a horrible time.
That's been my last 2 weeks, man. It's my last 2 weeks. Up 3:30.
No, I will not be awake at that point. I'm fortunate for that one.
Come join me.
Friday morning, France, Namibia. Unfortunately, I will be in the car driving to Hamilton to work during that game.
I'll be watching it.
Yes, get a job.
Yeah.
So it's like England. We over the moon as to where they're at in this one. The LB was asking, do we talk about Eddie Jones's press conference? I'll be honest, I've not seen what happened in that. Have you?
No, I can only imagine what it was. I know he did announce about the missing players, but I can only imagine. I can imagine how he'll be kicking off about how bad his players are, wouldn't he? Surely.
Sorry, LB. I generally ignore those sort of things because you generally get crap out of them. Unless I'm there, of course, I get to actually ask questions, but not this year. So look, I mean, I was a bit despondent after the first round, but I'm now well up for this weekend. There's some big games. As was said, Argentina, Samoa in Pool D is a really important game. In Pool C, we've got Wales, Australia, massive game there. South Africa, Ireland in Pool B, and that Italy-Uruguay game, not in the face of it as at the same level as the other ones, but a massively, but again, a really important game there. So some real big important games after what was, let's be honest, in round two. Apart from Australia-Fiji, all the rest of the games were pretty obvious as who was going to win. Maybe not the England-Japan one for some of you, but I had faith in the boys. It wasn't the. I think round two was the lukewarm round. But I think next round three, every pool has got a cracking game in it.
I think it depends how you watch it, because if you just look at results, it's easy to see that and go, okay, we expect that. But I think we've seen some really incredible performances from teams that you don't think should perform that well. They didn't win the game. Yeah, they fell off at the end. But, seeing Portugal, absolutely scare the nuts off the Welsh, forcing them to bring the big guns on and to execute at the death, play till the 84th, 85th minute, not just be like, oh, clock's gone red, get rid of it, let's go home and have a beer, forcing that issue, forcing them to get that bonus point. Things like that, it brings a different element, and it makes you think that these small teams, they're not just there to make up the numbers, because they can actually have an impact by denying bonus points, by denying tries, by denying points. You're not going to get team. If someone struggles against one of the minnows, they drop, they only score 20, 30 points, whereas everyone else is scoring 50, 60. That has massive repercussions on those teams when they go to the final standing. So they're here to play a part, and discount them, like we've seen with teams resting players like France. Pretty much the same scoreline as the All Blacks versus France, different teams, but hey, it's still France versus New Zealand, it's still France versus Uruguay. You look at the books in 22 years' time, that's what you're going to be reading, because you don't know who these players will be in 30 years' time. So at the end of the day, they're doing themselves proud. I think it's been a very interesting round. I've enjoyed seeing these small teams, and I've enjoyed the kind of global reach that it's had, which is a lot better than I expected and thought it was going to be. So it's been good. It's been fun. And the support from the crowd, outstanding. The crowds are phenomenal. Really, really good. So a lot of highs, a lot of really, really good things come out of these opening couple of rounds.
Cool. There you go, folks. There's Mr. Positivity for you, who will breathe positivity back into your life. That's what he's here for. I will just make you feel like you should go sit in the corner and rock yourself while you cry. But there you go. That's the yin and the yang of the show. Steve, thank you so much for joining me. It's been cracking to get back on and talk. Sorry I missed last week, folks. I was just wasn't up for it last week. But yes, we will be back, and after what I think is going to be, I say, a cracking round that's going to be key to all of these pools. And to the future of how the Rugby World Cup goes. The South American and French crowds are excellent. Absolutely. Look, I mean, this is and the chanting and the noise. New Zealand crowds, do some learning here, folks, because boy oh boy, New Zealand crowds are not great. The only crowd that I've come across that's kind of good now, in very small numbers, unfortunately. Manawatu Turbos and the Bucketheads, they're a good laugh to be around. The 20 or 30 of them that there are, but at least they give the referees some shit. So everybody have a cracking week and stay safe.